Hey, everybody. Welcome in. It's Laura. Welcome back. And so we are in the members only Thursday live. We're going to dig into all 12 zodiacs today, but we're doing things drastically different today because we got some pretty significant cosmic transits at play. We do have Saturn in Pisces sitting at 29 degrees right now. It's going to be moving into Aries on the 24th of May in my local area. Maybe it'll be on the 25th for you, depending on your time zone. And this is a really important shift for all of us on the spiritual journey, whether you resonate as a twin flame or just as somebody on the awakening spiritual path. It really doesn't matter because we all have a similar goal, which is to awaken to our truth and to step into our most authentic essence, right, as a soul in this human existence. And so I've been getting a lot of downloads. I've been going through a massive shift internally. I currently have Saturn in Pisces at 29 degrees, and I've got my laptop here, and I'll pull up my transit chart, and it's kind of sitting halfway in between my first house where it starts and my second house, because I'm a Pisces ascendant at 5 degrees 50, which is the degree placement where the first house begins for me. And my second house is in Aries, but it doesn't start until 23 degrees. And so I'm having this ingress of Pisces energy into Aries, all happening in my first house. And this is being felt very significant for my own personal journey right now. And so I also have Pluto retrograde sitting in my 12th house of Aquarius. And so I'm kind of in this energy of a void. And you're probably feeling this void phase somewhere within your own personal birth chart, I do want to say. And so I did think to switch things up a little bit this week. I have one deck. It is my Guardian Angel Message tarot deck. I just love this deck. I love the vibration. I love the imagery. I love the cards. And so right now I'm in a very frustrated part of my journey. Hello, Tanya. Welcome. And I'm also in a very sacred void right now. And so my channeling has been very deeply personal with all of these shifts going on. And so because I'm in the void, I'm kind of feeling a little bit of a lack of direction. I kind of feel like I don't have much traction with where I'm going moving forward with my work, with my purpose. And I know it's just a temporary void. I've been here before. But with this ingress of Saturn moving from Pisces to Aries, I'm going through a major spiritual recalibration, especially with Pluto retrograde in my 12th house. And so my old survival patterns are coming up. Anything that I built on, like that hustle culture, right? Like always having to be productive, always having to do something constantly, or seeking any external validation. I'm going through a major shift. It's like internally I am crying inside, but I have no emotions externally to purge. It's a very strange feeling as I'm kind of realigning with this new soul template. Yeah, so same. So what I thought would really benefit all of us today is if I talked about this Saturn ingress through the houses, because we're all having this ingress happening somewhere in our birth chart through the houses. And I know I've read birth charts for most of you in the membership. If you don't know how to pull your birth chart, though, you can go to Astro, you can go to astro.com, you can go to Cafe Astrology. You type in your birth information, as long as you know your birth date, the location you were born, and the time you were born, because without the time, you don't have a complete birth chart with the ascendant and all of the houses, right? Or at least as close as possible to the birth time to have a complete birth chart. But we're going to break down Saturn through the houses today. And I will pull one card for each house as we go through these energies. So you can kind of have a look at where Saturn is transiting in your house and how this energy is going to be affecting you, because Saturn is karma. Saturn is Lord of karma energy. It's restrictions, it's boundaries, it's limitations, it's karma basically, right? And Saturn does restrict us in a certain area of our birth chart. And so for me, it's happening in the first house of my identity. It's my body image, myself. It's my personal essence, my personal authority. So I've been going through a lot of personal changes with my body, with my eating habits, with all kinds of things, right? How I look at myself, my self-image. And so all of that is being looked at, and it has been being looked at for about the last 2 years because Saturn in Pisces has already been sitting in my first house since Saturn reached 5 degrees 50 in Pisces. And so we're at that pivot point. And so I want to say, like, look to the Aries house, but also look to the Pisces house, because odds are this ingress from the anaretic degree of 29 degree in Pisces to the 0 degrees in Aries, which is the new beginning. Hello, Zandra. Hello, and welcome. So the 29 degrees is the critical final degree. And so there's a very heavy, I want to say, karmic completion to this Saturn and Pisces energy, which is why I think we're all feeling very heavy right now. It's heavy. I just got to say it's heavy. And I know a lot of us mask it very well. And so there's a lot of emotional intensification with Pisces in Saturn at that 29th degree. And there's a soul reckoning in a certain house of your birth chart. So look to the house of Pisces and to the house of Aries, because odds are the ingress is happening in the house of Pisces. So say if you are an Aries rising, this ingress is probably happening in your 12th house of Pisces. If you were to have all of the houses aligned. Now, I read Placidus birth charts. I don't do whole house birth chart readings. And so that can make a difference. And I know not all of you are versed in astrology, but if you know how to pull your chart, especially if you use cafe astrology, it's like in a table format, right? It's like a math chart. Everybody can usually read a table format if you can't understand the wheel, and that's fine. Look to the 12th, or the, like, say if you're an Aries rising, Pisces would probably be your 12th house. Maybe it's Aquarius. It really depends, right? But look to the Pisces house and the Aries house, because this is the energy that you're going to be tested at when it comes to the closing and the beginning, right? Because Aries at that 0 degree is the birthing of a brand new era, I want to say, because Aries is the start of the Zodiac. Pisces is the completion. And so where were you 29 years ago? So look back to about 29 years ago, because we are closing out a 29-year Saturn cycle as it's traveled through all of the signs of the Zodiac, okay? It takes about 29 years for Saturn to go through all of the Zodiac signs. And so we're closing out a major era of our life, and we're initiating a new structure. And this is all about leadership, right? Aries is a sign of leadership, and Saturn isn't going to be too happy with Aries in that energy, because Aries is a go-getter. It's an ignition energy. It's a very bold energy, and Saturn's going to restrict that, right? You're going to feel like I'm going to go headstrong towards a goal or something, and Saturn's going to be like, hold up. Wait a minute, we're going to have to backtrack here. We're going to have to slow it down. We can't just go ramming into things like the Aries ram. And so there's a shift not only going on in the collective, there's also a personal reset. Okay, so let's start with the first house. So say first house normally would be Aries rising naturally, right? And so I'm a Pisces rising. So it's happening for me, the ingress between my first house. And by the time Saturn is done in Aries in 2.5 years from now, it will have moved through my second house. Okay. So just look to the Pisces Aries energy. I don't want to make it too confusing, but let's break it down. Saturn in the first house, like I said, it's your identity, it's yourself, it's your body image. It's your personal identity, your personal authority. And so with Saturn in the first house, this is a redefining of who you are. It is like a maturing of your self-image. I'm definitely feeling that. And it is about stepping into leadership, because the first house is the house of self. And so you're probably feeling an increased pressure to get your shit together, probably. And I do think this is connected a lot to like physical appearance, your health, your energy, your confidence. All of that will be challenged and redefined over the next 2.5 years, give or take, right? And so when Saturn is in that house, it's here to help you build that strong character. And it is all about disciplined self-focus, because nobody's coming to do the hard work for you but you, right? And so this is about taking responsibility for your physical health, your leadership style. And as you can tell, a lot has kind of shifted for me on the channel and just in my life in general over the last year and a half or so. And so this is like a challenging energy about how do you assert yourself or how do you appear to others? Because the first house is the first impression that you give to that external world. So let's get a tarot card on this ingressing energy for first house. If you say, usually the first house would be Aries rising. So if Saturn's transiting through your first house with this ingress, what is the tarot message that you need to work through this weekend? Because it's happening this weekend. Oh, geez. We got a follow. We always get that follow. I'm going to take the first one that actually caught my eye. We're going to just do one card today, and we get the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Fire. Well, that's leadership. If I have to say that's leadership, that is like owning the crown, wearing the crown. This is finding your determination to maybe hold that leadership flame, okay? And it says intelligent, exuberant, and determined. And so I do feel as Saturn ingresses for you, if you are a first house, Pisces or Aries, this really is asking you to step into that visionary leader energy, right? To become what it is that you preach about, right? We do have to practice what we preach. We can't just be preaching to people and not be that embodiment. And so the Queen of Wands really is that divine feminine visionary leader energy. And so expect over the course of the next 2.5 years for you to really step into that spotlight energy, that leadership energy within the collective. And so get ready to refine who you are, to mature who you are, and to really step into your most authentic essence as a healer, as a divine feminine, and as a channeler, okay? So second house rules our finances, right? And our finances will always be a direct reflection of our self-worth, our values, right? And so the second house is actually naturally ruled by Taurus, but Saturn is probably shifting. If you are a Pisces rising, Saturn will be working its way through your second house, okay? And so financial responsibility is going to be key, right? And so you think of Aries as the sign of self. How do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as inherently worthy just as you are? It doesn't matter what you have, what you own, how much money is in your bank account. Actually, it matters how you view yourself. I do think budgeting is going to be a big Saturnian theme as Saturn moves through your second house. It's going to test you. Saturn tests you when it comes to your sense of self, your values. Maybe your values will be shifting over the course of the next couple of years, not only materially, but emotionally, right? And so this is where you begin to build that real, true self-esteem for your path. Not in any external validation. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but this is where you ground in independence, right? Independently worthy. It doesn't matter what's external from you. And so I think Saturn in the second house is going to be all about learning how to earn, how to manage your resources, and how to build long-term sustainability, right? And so that's really Saturn in the second house. So it's saying it's time to get financially disciplined. Now, if you've already done the work, say if Saturn transited through your first house and you've worked on all of that image stuff, this could also be a time of karmic rewards, because the second house does rule our money, right? Because Saturn doesn't only just restrict, Saturn gifts you the blessing if you've learned the Saturnian lesson, right? And so you don't have to prove anything with Saturn in the second house, I think, is the lesson. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to prove anything to anybody, right? You just have to be secure in yourself, which will, and then I feel, reflect that financial security externally. And so this is about building something solid, building something through that ownership of self, right? So let's see what the tarot card is for Saturn transiting through the second house. If you're likely, like I said, a Pisces rising. So what is the tarot card for my Pisces rising out there? We got a couple again. They're just, I'm going to take this one. I didn't see any of them. Look at that. Six of Earth, balance, right? This is reciprocity. This is what we put out there, we will receive. It speaks of charity, generosity, and windfall. Okay, and so that could mean an inheritance as well, although the eighth house is more likely an inheritance because of the shared resources. But you got to remember what you put out there will be a reflection of what it is you're going to be receiving as Saturn moves through that house. And so the Six of Pentacles for me is also the card of service. And so trust that your charitable services and the generosity that you put out there will be coming back to you in greater value than what it is you put out there, is I think a message as Saturn moves through your second house, especially if you resonate as a Pisces rising. So Saturn in the third house, most likely connected to Aquarius rising, okay? I'm just going to give the general rule there, right? If we were to do whole house. So if you're an Aquarius rising, Saturn will be transiting through your third house, all right? Whether it's going to be ingressing in the third house or the second house, it doesn't really matter. But focus on that third house, which is the house of communication. It's the house of siblings, neighbors, cousins. It's connected to short distance travel. And so this is really a time for you to speak with precision, to push yourself towards communication mastery, writing, speaking, teaching, right? Aquarian energy, Aquarius rising, you have so many out of the box, unique, innovative ideas to bring forward in the collective. And Saturn is going to be challenging that. Are you actually serious about what you're speaking into your existence? Maybe it's time to get serious about learning and teaching at the same time, Aquarius. I do feel it's a time to upgrade. Upgrade the way you communicate, upgrade the way you do business. Maybe it's time to think of more technological ways of running a business if you're an Aquarius rising. And it's time to manage that mental overload. Oh, you're still traveling. Oh no. Yes, catch the replay, Regine. I hope you are enjoying your birthday away. I'm enjoying the pictures. Have a wonderful time away, and I'll see you on the replay, hun. So Aquarius rising, it is all about public speaking commitments, I think, over the course of the next 2.5 years. And this might mean also mending something with some siblings if there's been a rift with siblings or cousins. So what is the tarot card? The Chariot. I love it. So Cancer energy coming through for you. This is about finding your willpower to go after that. I want to say that public recognition. So maybe it's time to write a book. Right? I'm sure, well, I know we all have a book inside of us. We all have a story inside of us. But I do feel victory after facing challenges. And so mental discipline, I want to say, is going to become your greatest tool, because the Chariot is all about discipline and willpower. And so it's time to upgrade all of those areas of your life if you are an Aquarius rising and Saturn is transiting through your third house. So Saturn in the fourth house, usually connected to Capricorn rising. Fourth house is all about home, family, our deep foundations, our emotional security, our deep family ancestral patterns and roots. And so as Saturn moves through your fourth house, if you resonate as a Capricorn rising, you're going to feel emotionally heavier. You're going to feel all of the emotional burdens of the ancestral family responsibilities, especially on the awakening path. And this is going to really highlight, I want to say, all of the ancestral patterns, parental karma. I feel maybe a housing issue could arise. You could be asked to redefine your home. You could be asked to move homes. This is all about a solid foundation, whether it's emotional because our body is a home. It really is time to bring those lessons full circle, connected to your karmic roots as Saturn moves through the fourth house. And so it really is time to create that solid foundation emotionally and physically. And so it's going to be an inward energy, and you might feel extra burdened when it comes to family karma over the course of the next couple of years. So let's see what card needs to come through for Capricorn rising today. I hope this isn't too confusing for you guys. I just, this is what I was called to do today, and I'm just leading with that intuition. So card for Capricorn rising, please. I guess the cards are quiet today. Capricorn rising. Oh, we got the Page of Cups. So there it is. Inner child healing coming through loud. You're going to be more sensitive. You're going to be more intuitive. You're probably going to be more open-hearted, and you're going to be asked to calm and heal those emotional depths connected to patterns connected to childhood wounds, okay? So a lot of inner child work, a lot of work connected to patterns, and I kind of feel like you are a little bit divinely protected as you work through the Saturn energy in the fourth house. There's going to be a major karmic lesson connected to your roots and maybe where you've repeated the ancestral patterns as well. Saturn in the fifth house. I like the fifth house. The fifth house is our creativity, it's romance, it's fun, it's children, it's play, it's sex. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the input, Tanya. I wanted to do something different because I'm always about growth and I'm always learning. And I wanted to bring this forward, something special for all of you guys, right? Something different. So thank you for the feedback. So Saturn in the fifth house, you're likely going to be a Sagittarius rising, right? And so creative expression. This is where your creative expression is going to need that structure, right? It's going to need to be intentional. Romantic relationships will be tested. And only serious connections are going to survive this Saturnian transit. If you have kids, there might be increased responsibilities around your kids. Thank you, thank you. Play and pleasure, right? And we have to have that balance. The Saturnian energy is like, hey, you can't have the play without the discipline, right? So you got to put in the hard work and then you can go play because we do need both, right? And so it's all about learning structure, discipline, and commitment with your creative process and your children, right? So, yeah, serious relationships could begin, right? Because there could be a new karmic relationship cycle beginning. And I'm a firm believer everything is karmic, everything carries a certain weight of karma to it to create that balance. It is commitment energy, right? Saturn asks for commitment energy. And so anything immature kind of has to go away, right? And you got to get serious about what it is that you're creating. You got to be really intentional with your creative process. And there could be challenges with children, right? So you might have children leaving the nest if you're a Sagittarius rising. You could be becoming a parent, and then your whole world is going to be challenged as a child kind of comes into the picture, right? And then you're going to need that new structure. So just be aware of that, right? So romance might feel a little bit on the back burner as Saturn moves through that fifth house for you, because it's not a really fun energy when we're dealing with Saturn, right? Okay. You might feel the need to jump into a relationship and then it might kind of blow up. But if you structure these energies properly, you do have an ability to create your wishes coming true. And so dreams, happiness, and wishes. I love it. So make that wish, set that intention, and trust as Saturn transits through that fifth house, you're going to find that new creative process. You're going to find the discipline and the drive to ground that in. And you're going to have your wishes granted. Like I said, Saturn does bring that gift when you have that structure and that discipline. So I think that's really awesome if you're a Sagittarius rising. So Saturn in the sixth house, you're likely a Scorpio rising. Sixth house is naturally ruled by Virgo, and the sixth house is all about our work, our health, our routines, our service mission. It's our day-to-day life, our day-to-day responsibility. Saturn is going to be asking you to refine your daily habits. It's going to be asking you to, hey, look at your daily schedule. Maybe it's time to have a structured schedule. Like, I know I got to kind of map things in my day or I can lose time of things. This is all about your physical well-being. So if you're a Scorpio rising, trust me, I know you've been going through it. Scorpio rising is always going through it. They always got to fight against them darker forces as a Scorpio rising. But this is a call to restructure your daily life, your daily habits, your routines, your work life. And burnout is going to be possible. Burnout is probably going to be likely if you don't create a sustainable routine. You have to have structure. You have to have routine. Just like small children, they need that routine. They need that structure, or it's pandemonium chaos, right? And so be mindful of burnout because boundaries are going to be essential. I think as a Scorpio rising, boundaries are essential anyway on a day-to-day basis. So really look at where you need to be accountable when it comes to your service mission and how productive you are, because we also have to enjoy the service work that we're doing. And so this is going to be ideal for implementing a new health regime or a new career system, especially if you are wanting to be an entrepreneur. There could be chronic health issues that arise that need to be dealt with if you are lacking that self discipline. Those are going to become very heavy and very prominent over the course of the next 2 years. And so, career pressure, I feel, is going to be coming through for you as Saturn moves through the sixth house as a Scorpio rising. So what is the tarot card that we're going to pair with Saturn in the sixth house? Oh, look, it just wanted to come right out of my hand. The Emperor, all about structure, all about discipline. And I'm getting chills all down this side of my face and body. Organization, leadership, and structure. And so that is what you need to be accountable for, and this is going to be affecting your everyday, day-to-day routines, work, health, all of that. And so I think Saturn in the sixth house is saying it's time to boss up. It's time to harness your inner masculine drive to get things done. And so it's going to be a couple years of doing. And I do see the World card. He's got that World card floating in his hand. So you got an opportunity here to close out a major cycle and to start a brand new cycle, right? Because that Ace of Coins is kind of sitting there floating, hasn't quite received it yet. So this really is a time, I want to say, for you to spread your wings too with your work and your day-to-day responsibilities, okay? So Saturn in the seventh house. Hey, Nella, it is so nice to see you. I knew you were in here. I saw all those hearts floating on the screen, and I knew that was you. I felt your energy before you said hey. So Saturn in the seventh house, you're likely a Libra rising, which would then put your seventh house in Aries. The seventh house is all about relationships. It's all about contracts. It's all about one-on-one dynamics, soulmate contracts, partnerships, can be work partnerships, can be friendships, can be romance, but it's the house of contracts, soul contracts. And so this can be where a commitment gets seriously deep. And this can be where you kind of have to release all of the shallow connections. They can no longer stay after this transit of Saturn through your seventh house. And so you're probably feeling the weight of maybe needing to cut certain relationships out right now with Pisces sitting at that 29th degree. This is all about understanding your relationship patterns, other people's relationship patterns, your projections, their projections. It's all going to be under that microscope over the next couple of years. You're going to want that stability. You're going to want that maturity in relationships, and you're going to have to release people that lack that maturity. And so this is all about attracting what it is that needs to be mirrored back to you so you can have that stability and that maturity in that healthy relationship to yourself, right? Because all external relationships will be a mirror reflection of our relationship to ourself. So you could attract a mature older partner during this time, or you could really heavily feel the burden of imbalance within a partnership or your twin flame journey, especially if you resonate as a twin flame. There could be old contracts phasing out, karmic contracts closing, and new contracts beginning. So what is the card for my Libra rising out there? I do feel like soul agreements, contracts. Oh, look at that. 5 of Earth. Jeez Louise. Lack, worry, and assistance. So it's like you haven't quite walked through a new doorway yet, right? And so the 5 of Pentacles is the midway point. I think you really need to look at where you feel like you put your 5 of Pentacles into a relationship and you're not met halfway, because it takes 5 and 5 to create a legacy. It takes 2 to create that 10 of Pentacles. And so I think the angels are kind of opening up the door to show you projections, to show you the patterns, to show you where you feel you're lacking in relationships, or there could be a fear of abandonment that holds you back from going into a new committed relationship. So all of these fears and projections, I think, are needing to be looked at as Saturn ingresses into Aries, because there is a new beginning here. But you really got to look at yourself right now in the mirror. I think that's where you're going to be tested, mostly in romantic and business partnerships over the course of the next 2 years. So really think about that. Or is it equal giving and receiving too, right? Because you don't want to give to a relationship and end up in that state of lack. And this might be a time of learning to ask for assistance, because the 7th house in Aries is the sign of self. Maybe you have a hard time asking for help. I know a lot of us do have a hard time asking for help. It doesn't really matter what houses we have. it takes greater strength to ask for assistance than to try and do it all yourself as well, right? Because when we need that help and we don't ask, we stay stuck in that sense of lack, and then we can become bitter and worry. So watch the worrying energy as well in the 7th house over the next little while. So eighth house is all about shared resources. It's the house of death. It's the house of transformation. It is the house of intimacy. And Saturn in the 8th house likely means that you are a Virgo rising. So the 8th house can be power and control dynamics, because the 8th house is naturally ruled by Scorpio, which is also ruled by Pluto. And this is where trust is going to be tested. And so if you don't trust other people, you don't trust yourself. So sit with that, right? Because when you trust yourself and you've mastered discernment, it doesn't matter if people are trustworthy or not, because then you trust yourself. So you're being asked to face psychological shadows connected to trust, power dynamics, shared resources. The 8th house is also the house of inheritance. So there could be an inheritance, I hate to say it, connected to a family death. It's possible. It's just possible. It's not going to be for sure written in stone. I don't get to decide that anyway. I'm not the higher power. I'm just the channel. But this is the house of deep emotional transformation, right? And so all of the psychological shadows are going to be coming to the surface. It's really a powerful time with Saturn in the 8th house to do that shadow work, right? And shadow work is basically shining a light on your fears, shining a light on your insecurities, and where you're afraid to be vulnerable, probably of loss, right? Nobody likes to lose anything, but that's a part of life. There could be debts that need to be repaid. It could be overdue taxes. It could be connected to a partner's finances bringing you down too, right? Because it's the house of shared resources. So if you're a Virgo rising and you're with a partner that spends that cash and has been hiding all kinds of debts, you have an ability to go down with them too. So be mindful of that, right? Because Saturn is karma. So but like I said, there could be an inheritance. God forbid that be the case, but I would use that inheritance wisely if that's the case, because the transformation is going to come through responsible sharing. So if you do receive an inheritance, you're going to need to be responsible with it, and you're going to need to set boundaries, because everybody likes people that have money, honey. Okay, so just think about that. So you're going to have those boundaries, right? So let's see what the tarot card is for my Virgo risings today as Saturn transits through your 8th house. So this really is not just a today reading. This really is kind of like a message for you to sit with and to think about these energies that are going to probably be at play for the next couple of years, right? Because 2.5 years it takes Saturn to move through a sign. So Virgo rising. What's the tarot combo? Oh, we got the Hermit, and it kind of flipped out in reverse. But I have every card in this deck upright. So don't be afraid to go into solitude, right? Transformation is an inner job, right? We do shine that light. The Hermit shines the light. The Hermit goes within. The Hermit shines the light on all of the negative vices. So the next 2 years for you, Virgo rising, is going to be a period of a self-discovery. And then on the other side of all of the Hermit energy, all of the self-discovery, all of the shadow work, all of the introspection, you're going to become the mentor. You're going to become the teacher, the wise teacher, the spiritual mentor. And so you do have a responsibility in sharing your wisdom as well. We all do, right? So once we've learned the lessons and we've gone through a period of enlightenment, we owe it to others to share that wisdom. Maybe they'll repeat the same mistakes we did. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll take that wisdom and they'll just spread their wings, and they won't have to repeat the patterns that you had to repeat to learn those hefty lessons. So get ready to be the Hermit. Get ready to go within. As a Virgo rising, you're probably used to that anyway. Okay, Saturn in the 9th house. Probably a Leo rising. My daughter, Kenzie, is a Leo rising, but she is an Aries 10th house. She's not an Aries 9th house, because she doubles down on the Leo. She's a first house Leo, second house Leo. She doubled down on that Leo energy. But the 9th house is the house of beliefs, higher education, travel, and publishing. And so Saturn will be transiting probably mostly through your 9th house as a Leo rising. So this is where you're going to have to commit to your own personal spiritual belief system. And that might be hard, right? Because Saturn's actually already been transiting through your 8th house in Pisces, and that's all about releasing martyrdom and victim mentality. And now in the 9th house, you're really going to have to structure that belief system. You're going to have to maybe tap into that higher education, that spiritual education. And you're going to be challenged with old dogmatic thinking patterns. Leo is a very fixed energy too, so you're very fixed, right? And so you're going to have to ground in your spiritual experience, I feel, as Saturn transits through the 9th house. Legal issues are probably going to arise. I do feel that as well, because you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested with your wisdom. You're going to be tested with your discipline. You're going to be tested with your philosophies. You're going to be tested with learning. We never stop learning. We never stop growing. If you've stopped educating yourself, then that's a clear indication you're stuck and you're stagnant. You might spend a lot of time reading books or digging into spirituality. You might embark upon a legal journey over the next 2 years as a Leo rising. There's going to be a lot of connections that might require you to relocate. You might have to pack up, you might have to move homes, but this really is a time where you mature your views of self, your views of the world, your views of other people, right? Yeah, I think a very serious undertone is going to be washing over you over the course of the next 2 years as a Leo rising. So what is the tarot message for Leo? We got two. I'll take two. Two to the Three of Wands. Well, if that doesn't scream decisions and then taking action. So this is about planning. This is about partnering. This is about progress. This is about goals, expansion, and vision. So you are being asked to progress beyond stuck old belief patterns, right? Because our beliefs should be constantly shifting, right? What I believed in 2 weeks ago, I might not believe in today. My belief of twin flames is constantly mutating and shifting and being questioned. Because I think there are many beliefs, right? This and that can be true at the same time. And so you're probably going to be at a major crossroads over the next 2 to 3 years as a Leo rising. And this is all about setting those aligned goals. I think you're going to be going through a lot of subconscious expansion because the 9th house rules the subconscious. And so you're probably going to be going through the labyrinth of the mind. And you might have to loop back several times, and you might have to look back at old connections that maybe you didn't make peace with and go back and close out those cycles. So it's going to require a lot of discipline and structure for you to go into this mind space over the next 2 to 3 years, Leo. So just be ready for that, because there is progress here, right? But you have to make a choice. You have to ground in that decision. Saturn in the 10th house, you're probably a Cancer rising. Okay, most likely a Cancer rising. The 10th house, I like the 10th house. It's our career, it's our public image, it's our ambition, it's the legacy we're here to leave future generations. So you're probably feeling the pressure. The pressure's on to build a legacy, to build your personal legacy. And so career ambitions are going to be shifting. If you've been in a job for a long time, you might be thinking about going down an entrepreneur path or opening up your own business. Recognition will come, but after a lot of hard work. And so you're going to have those ideas pinging, I feel, for starting an entrepreneurial path. Jot down the ideas. That 0 degree Saturn in Aries, you're going to feel this gumption to go full steam ahead. But we got to keep in mind, Saturn is going to be going retrograde, and it will be going back, dipping into Pisces. And so you're going to have all these ideas. You might want to get a business license. You might start a business, pick a name, and then things are going to go, and you're going to have to backtrack, and you might have to completely close out an old career ambition. Okay. So the energy is there. You could feel resistance from like a boss or an authority figure, somebody that I feel plays a big role with your current lifestyle, your current career. And this is going to require a lot of consistency. Let me tell you, to start a business and run a business, it takes a lot of hard work. Like, I know most of you know, I'm up usually between 5 and 5:30 every morning. I have to schedule in my entire day. I don't have a lot of free time for friends because I have to have that structure. You have to have that discipline as a business owner, and it can take up to 5 years or longer to have that overnight success. There's a lot of drudgery that goes into career goals and business goals. And so this is where you have to own your own personal, professional authority. Okay. As a Cancer rising, you're going to feel this increased responsibility on your spiritual path. You're going to feel maybe scrutinized with your public life if you leave an old career behind or an old lifestyle behind and you step into this restructuring to a more aligned soul path. That's really what I feel is a shift in career, a shift in public status for you, Cancer rising. So what do the tarot cards have to say? What does the tarot have for this Saturn ingress for my Cancer rising? Oh, we got two. I'm just going to take them. You are quickly going towards being independently owned and operated. Well, if that just doesn't confirm, it's going to take a lot of hard work. You're going to plant the seed right now. So what are your heart-centered intentions? What is it that you want to build when it comes to creating your legacy? Because I do think it's going to lead to a lot of luxury, a lot of independence, a lot of contentment. The seeds you plant right now with this ingress for being independently owned and operated are going to bring you a lot of abundance. And I do think these ideas are coming in fast. We get the Knight of Air. So there's going to be, like I said, intellectual pings, intellectual downloads. You're going to have to find your determination and your motivation to do it. And be mindful of the red flags. So it's like, what are we? We're like going into summer. So things might feel like they're going full steam ahead and things might get really slow throughout the winter months because you see the winter energy. But I also feel there's also this energy of purification too. So you got to purify the old belief patterns about having to work maybe for somebody else. I think that's also coming up. But I think get ready to enjoy the fruits of your labor and to put in that hard work. Okay. Saturn in the 11th house, probably a Gemini rising. 11th house is our friends, it's our networks, it's our social community, it's our long-term goals within the community. So this is where old friends are going to be fading away, right? This is where you're going to call in those new, more aligned friendships, soulful friendships. There's going to be friendships and community structures being tested and they're going to change. There's going to be drastic change, especially if you've always been the one to be the healer and nurture everybody. And now you're going to be more focused on doing those things for yourself. So this is also where you redefine your sense of community, right? What does community mean for you? Because this is also connected to your purpose, right? Within the community. And so this is about putting in that serious effort towards that collective dream that we're here building together, or your personal dream, right? Because I talk about building your own personal heaven on earth all the time on the channel. Saturn wants you to get serious about your long-term visions, your long-term goals, and who's coming with you. Because not everybody's coming with you, and I got the chills, just went down both sides of my face. Not everybody can come with you on the next leg of this journey, right? So we're closing out something major. So say if you've got a group of friends and you're connected to people that are always like, oh, poor pitiful me. Like I'm always the victim. Everything's always happening to me. It's time to shift out of that group of friends to people that are like growth minded, right? They're not going to stay stuck. They're going to grow with you. So I do feel this is where you're going to be pushed as a Gemini rising too. You're ruled by Mercury, all about communication. You are going to be pushed to take on that leadership role within the community. And it might even just mean like a digital space, right? Like an online presence, but you're going to be called to align with people that match your maturity and your integrity. Okay, so let's get a tarot card if you are a Gemini rising. Like I said, a little bit different today. and we get the high priestess. And so what is your intuition telling you? Your intuition is your wisdom. Maybe you've been patient with a lot of people in your group of friends, but you've gone through some type of enlightenment, and I think you already know who gets to come with you and who needs to be left behind. So really lean into your intuition. And I think it's also time for you to take up that space in sharing your channeling abilities, your intuitive gifts. We all have them. So be the high priestess in the spiritual community, okay? Let's get to the last house. We're going to talk about the 12th house. I think my mom just came in the door. Mom, I'm almost done the live, okay? I don't want her to leave. I just don't want her to leave because I did ask her to come over. Anyway, Saturn in the 12th house, probably a Taurus rising. I do know a couple Taurus risings that are Pisces 12th house, not an Aries 12th house. But like I said, look to those two houses. The 12th house is the house of the subconscious. It's the house of endings. It's the house of solitude. It's the house of spirituality. It's the house of karma. It's the house of endings. It's the house of hidden enemies. Usually yourself is your own worst enemy. But the 12th house is where all of the deep inner work begins. I know, Nella, I know you are an Aquarius 12th house like me, and Pluto retrograde in the 12th house is not fun right now. But the 12th house is the house of spiritual healing. So you're probably a Taurus rising if Saturn is ingressing through the 12th house. This is where you're going to go through a very powerful retreat. It's going to be all about self, all about isolation, all about facing fears, all about releasing the karmic baggage, the patterns, the deeply ingrained subconscious patterns. It's going to be a time of disillusion. It's going to be a time of preparation for the next cycle. When Saturn moves into the first house that I'm going through right now. And so it's a karmic clearing period in the 12th house. All the old wounds are going to come up. All of the fears have to come up. All of the unhealed, unhealthy patterns are going to surface. You're going to be tested. You're going to be met with people that you thought were friends, and they're going to turn into frenemies. And so you're going to be feeling like you're in the fog. You're going to be feeling foggy, but you got to trust the process of releasing, right? Releasing takes time. Transformation takes time. And so the next 2 years is going to be all about meditation, therapy, and spiritual practices for you. Okay? All right. What is the tarot card for my Taurus rising? I'm going to take that one because it kind of wanted to peek out the Knight of Fire. This is all about finding your confidence, your passion, and being adventurous. But I do feel this is going to be an inner journey. It's kind of like he's walking the yellow brick road. So it is fire energy. Saturn is moving into Aries. But I think you don't want to get too ahead of yourself because this is going to require forgiveness and inner accountability. Maybe you've always been the runner. Maybe when things get serious, you're like, I'm peacing out and I'm running. So maybe that's a pattern that you need to look at as a Taurus rising. But I do think there's victory here, right? He's kind of holding that victory flame, and it's like going all over the place. And so be mindful of leaking your energy too, I want to say. So anything coming in passionately, it's for yourself. It's for this inner journey as Saturn transits through your 12th house. So I know this week was a little bit different. I do appreciate you giving me your input, Tanya. So I know there was only a few people on the live. So if you catch the replay, let me know down below what you think. If you'd like to do more sessions like this, if you'd like me to talk more and incorporate astrology a little bit more, especially with the big energies coming through this year, let me know. And I guess I will see you all again next Thursday. So good luck this weekend with these energies. I know, like I said at the beginning, I'm like crying on the inside, and I'm just going to sit with it and let it pass because I know there's something really good on the other side of this ending because we're going towards a new 29-year cycle. So just get ready for the new and sit with whatever you need to sit with, okay? Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you next time.